All right, I'm gonna
Or
huddle.
the setup and everything.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So, okay, let me reverse a bit. So we were speaking about the future of design and how AI and vibe coding tools are changing everything these days. So here at Anima, we've been automating design and code for the past 7 years now, and we started talking with Jesse about how vibe coding changes everything for product and design teams because everyone are now designing. Jesse, you mentioned that your clients are coming with not a spec, not an idea. They come with a vibe coded project for your agency to come and go from there, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, as an agency owner, I'm seeing more and more, especially at the end of 2025 and clients that I'm onboarding now at the start of 2026, more clients are coming geared with not just a loose idea or napkin sketches, but they're coming geared with Figma Make projects or like vibe coded prototypes of things, sometimes with back-end database structures connected, sometimes not. Sometimes it's fast forwarding their process and visualizing and manifesting what they want their product to be. And so they're coming more with those kind of things already set up. And it's my job as the creative director, as the designer, to take those things and leverage those assets they're delivering, but not just turn them into maybe flat designs and send them back, but then to resend them through the pipeline back through some sort of high level clickable prototype that includes code base and everything that they need to fast forward their process more as well.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, we see designers starting to code, clients starting to design. Everything is blurring. The lines are blurring, and it changes the way we work. The issue that we're trying to tackle here at Anima is that it's when you work with coding agents, it's usually off-brand, and you lose visual consistency, and you get into an AI slope where everything is purple. So what we try to bring is tools for professional teams and new methodologies for teams to adapt in this new AI and vibe coding space. So I'm gonna jump into our demo, and I think that's the one. Yeah. All right. Jesse, can you see my screen?
I cannot.
Cannot. Okay, we'll need to add that to the stage, I guess. Okay, there we go.
Now I can see it. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry for the technical issues here. Okay, so if I'm going to animaapp.com and signing up, I can start prompting away, and I want to show you how we could bring your brand. We have multiple ways to bring your product, your brand, your design system into Anima. And this is a tool we added today called Match a Brand. And if I select it, I can say, okay, let's say I'm a designer at Anthropic, and I want to create a growth dashboard because we are IPOing tomorrow, and I want to show our investors what's coming and where we came from. So I'm saying match the brand of Anthropic, create a growth dashboard, and also make a research to bring real data. This is what Anima generated on the first shot. This is very far from the AI slope. And if you tried other vibe coding tools, you probably know that this is very much on brand with what I asked and not something very generic. So here I got something that is using the brand and colors and fonts of Anthropic. These are real charts. Again, designing with code means that you can actually bring real data, and it makes a big difference. Of course, it's responsive. And back to zooming out a bit about on where we at, we are now using Anima's Playground, which is Anima's vibe coding environment. You can interact with the agent here. And we have all the shebang of vibe coding platforms. You can see the code and download it. Our focus has always been code quality, so you'll get very high-end code here. And we have, again, data is part of design these days. This is how we see it. Code is the new canvas. So data is important. We have a database built in. You don't need to understand anything. You just need to ask for database or user login. And then you can go and download the code, push to GitHub, or go all the way and publish to a custom domain, share with the client. All right, jumping to another example. Here I asked it to bring the brand of Monday because I love the brand, and it's a bit more rich, and designing an HR application that, let's say, at Monday we do internally to welcome new team members. So here I got something very rich that actually works and speak the language of the brand. And this is, again, on a first shot, this is something that is huge because, again, it saves me as let's say I'm a designer or a product manager, it saves me a lot of time ideating, and I could go from something like from an idea to a concept that I could share with a client. Let's say I have an agency or I run the design team. I want to share it internally or externally with clients. And imagine that you had a discovery code with a client, but an hour later you can send them something that speaks their brand and their visual language. I think this is very impressive and makes a big difference.
Yeah, can I speak to that? Because that's super interesting.
Yeah, of course.
I think that I often reference like this metaphor of people's ability to visualize something, and there's a spectrum of people's ability to visualize something. It's like the metaphor is like, when somebody's trying to buy a house, for instance, you walk in, some people don't have the ability to see past the color of the walls that are painted, right? So I don't want to buy this house because I don't like green walls. Well, obviously you can paint walls, like that's not a big deal, but it deters them. Whereas other people can walk into a house that's, just frames of the wall and everything's exposed. They can see the vision. So there's this huge spectrum of people who can or cannot on that spectrum see the vision. And I think what's great about being able to streamline the process and actually get something manifested quickly, right, through a tool like Anima, like what you're showing, is it's on brand, the data's presented, it's usable, it's interactable, you can get there quickly. It's like walking somebody into a space and being able to snap your fingers, and then the walls are no longer green, and now there's furniture that would fit your style in it. You go, wow, this is great, I have buy-in here. So for me, one of the big kind of draws is getting adoption and buy-in on things early before you have to go back and spend the time to finesse. It's very hard to do. In the past, we've had to do wireframes, but those don't communicate anything great. We we do lots of research and data. We start to pull in all this stuff, and it's time consuming and taxing. And some people on that spectrum are going, I just don't see how this is all coming together. Can you make me a clickable prototype? And it's like, God, that's exhausting too. So now to be able to manifest it first and then get buy-in and then go back and start to iterate and finesse that product or that project, it's like a massive change in the industry, and stuff like this is super impressive towards that end.
Amazing. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Totally.
Yeah. So it gives you, of course, it's not the fine version, like you said, it's not the fine version end product, but it gives you something to discuss, and it sets up the ground for discussion, and you can get feedback. Amazing. All right, let me jump into something more of a day-to-day work of a product team. Let's say I'm working in Asana, and this is Asana. We are happy customers, and I want to add an AI feature here. What I would have done in like the old days is I would either take a screenshot and start drawing it in Figma, or I have a Figma design of the screen, and I would start add to that. But then I would probably go and research online on how, like, what's the right way to add the prompt of the chat. So while I'm ideating, I could use that screen inside a Vibe Coding environment, and this is something that like you get all the time. We get from clients. I want to start, but I have an empty canvas, and now I need to spend 2 days only to set up the ground. So,
and also maybe you're not depending on designers anymore, right? As a product manager or like anyone else on the team.
At least not on ideation,
Yeah, on this idea, yeah, exactly. To create a prototype, you don't need to go through the design to get the first prototype. So, that keep going.
Huge.
Huge. So what I did here is I opened Anima's Chrome extension. It allows me to snapshot any page that I see on my browser. And I, of course, already did that for the demo. and this is what we got. So let me pause here for a second. This is Anima, and that's not actually the actual Asana. This is the clone that Anima created. And I did like a couple of more prompts here, so it feels like the real product. I have drag and drop. I have this menu, but now this could be a template for the product team to start ideating new features. All right. So here, what I did next is I went to ChatGPT. I said, okay, I want this kind of prompt. Now we're saying code is the new canvas, but it's not only one way. That it's not only that I create there, it's also the web is also a set of designs that you could get inspiration from. Like we would have done it before in Figma. We would copy a lot of snapshots into Figma, create a inspiration board, think about it. But here, what I did is, again, I opened the Chrome extension, I click capture. I can capture any element, and it captures not only an image, it captures the code and all the properties of it. So think about it like copy properties in Figma plus copy the actual layout. Mm-hmm. And now I can use whatever I want. So if I go to Anima, I could then go and paste it here. And here I have everything I snapshot. I did a snapshot in my Chrome extension and ask it to edit here in the center. And with one prompt, what I got is the actual thing. So yeah, I did have another prompt to add the logo, but again, let's say I'm product manager. This is huge. I could now ideate and feel how things would feel and show this to a client, and that could be, my manager or an actual client, and I could get feedback, and we could do all of that before even going to a proper design process.
Yeah, I think one of the things that is very top of mind, because I am working with a lot of clients that are AI driven tools. So they're obviously like, they're thinking through the most modern tech. They're thinking through how to apply AI, leverage AI, and I'm designing and solving those problems, right? Like designing for AI specifically. And one of the topics or the issues that we always run into is context awareness. So I like the idea of being able to not just screenshot something and it's void of any sort of context, but if Anima's grabbing the actual code, the properties, the elements, there's context like built in there, so that when I drop that into my prototype, it has this idea of what these controls, what these navigation items inside of the chat box do, because there's context already being brought in with it. That's a huge part of the process. And not to get like too high level existential, but it's a huge part of like, I think what this vibe coding, code is designed and back and forth. This whole topic really is, in previous versions of design processes, clients would come to me with this type of context, and then I'd try to reframe it through the skill of design, hand it back to them. I have to document and talk to give them the proper context, and then they have to add the proper context to hand it off to developers. And so it's just shortening that window and the trouble area of defining context and making sure that we're aware of it at every kind of step of the process. That's the huge thing. It's like saving all that grunt work of defining context.
I agree. It's all about context. You say it all the time. What we do is we bring the design context to the agent, so you can do it with a click and not build it manually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very well put. So. Okay, jumping here. Next thing I want to do, let's say I want to mix Figma into this, and we have a modal that I want to show here for this new feature, and we already designed it. I could go and take copy a link to this selection, to this frame, and paste it into Anima, and this is what I did, and ask it to edit as a modal, and this is again one shot, and now I could mix. Again, I could mix my website with components from another website and then with my Figma and create something very, very quick. So again, it's all about context. We can bring the Figma context. We can bring context from the web. We can bring my product. The idea is to make it easier for design teams to bring the design context.
Yeah, I know. I'm especially I some some people that I know that work at large organizations, enterprise level, some like top 5, top 10 businesses, and they there's no requirement that they work in a specific work stream or a specific way or process. Some use Sketch, some use Figma, some use this, some use that. So having multiple entry points into building a singular prototype, I think is opening up the top of the funnel for ideas. And this is, for me, this is why I love a lot of designers and creatives are kind of terrified of the age of AI that we're getting into and how it's impacting design.
Yeah.
I'm actually really excited because it's just opening the top of the funnel up and allowing more people with ideas to build quickly and manifest those ideas. So I'm in love with it. I'm excited about stuff like this.
Amazing. Yeah. People are terrified, and then we'll speak about that as well. It's a big topic. Amazing. So then again, this playground has, I ideated here, I added logic here, I added some let's say experience that has multiple states, multiple I don't know, a lot of data in it that I want to then hand off, like a lot of specifications that actually turned into code, and I want to hand that over to engineering. Now, in the old days, I would send a Figma file and a spec file and maybe comment everything. But here I have behavior. So either I do a Loom video or I can send that prototype to engineering. What we learned at Anima is that since this is code, and especially we are focusing on creating a very clean code that agents could then take from there, what we want to do is we want to allow agents like Cursor and Claude Code to read exactly that, to read what I see. So we also launched this morning an MCP for Anima, and it allows Cursor and Claude Code and any coding AI agent to simply take this playground and implement that feature. So let's say I created all the experience around this chat inside Asana. Now I would hand over that link to engineering, and they could just ask Cursor to add it to the product in their IDE.
That's insane.
Yeah. So back to designers being terrified, and I'm probably stealing stuff from the discussion later, but designers are also crossing the lines into engineering. Now, of course, this is not production code, but this is code that will guide the coding agent on how to bring it into the actual product. So this is a big thing. And then one last and also big thing. What we saw is how we take all that design context, bring it into a vibe coding environment, hand it over to engineering. But the way we brought the brand was very shallow, right? We just took a public link to a website. And although impressive, if I'm working in a professional team, I do have hundreds of components in my Figma design system that I want to utilize. Or my code, actually. We have two sources of truth here. So what we allow is we can bring either the Figma design system, hundreds of components, into Anima, or the code design system into Anima. So when I prompt and ideate, I would use Anima agent would use those components to compose experiences. And let me show how it works. I took a wireframe, a very basic website layout, and I gave it to Anima, but in an environment. Here I don't need to tell it to bring the Ferrari brand. I already have set up a Carbon design system with a Ferrari brand built into Anima in this Anima team. So I don't need to actually tell it that, but just to make it explicit. But what I got is something that first follows all my spec, the home screen, the product screen, the about, with all the layout. But second, and this is already impressive, but the second thing is that the code here actually uses Carbon, so all the way to the layout. And this is for handoff for engineering. This is huge because it serves two purposes. One, it follows the brand, language, and visual consistency with the design system. And second, that's basically handing over Cursor, Claude Code, the engineer, what they what they would actually build in a way that they could just take and go from there. So that's a big time saver. And again, we're saying designers, more people are coming into the design space to design, but also designers are doing more. And in this case, designers are creating the actual layout of the product.
Yeah, I think
so
there's also like a huge and maybe we'll get into it later as we discuss more, but like there's this huge conversation around the value of a designer. And I think that for me, that's the most important thing. Like I teach on YouTube about design, I mentor designers, and the biggest thing is not what you can make. It is the value of what you make brings to the product or the team, right? So like pixels don't actually matter. I've talked to so many people and show them designs, some of the most amazing designs online, and people who are not designers go, yeah, but I don't know where to click. A lot of times people pick ugly designs over the most beautiful designs because it's not actually about how beautiful it is. It's the type of value that it actually brings, either value to the user or value to the business or the product or the vision, right? And so I think right now more than ever, the value for designers is not on what it looks like, but the value that it actually brings to the team. So if I can be quick to market or quick to execution or quick to approval and handoff, and I can kind of Frankenstein things like it's kind of like Asana like this and my design system here, and here's a modal from Figma, and slap all these things together. And now the value is it's testable, it's usable to a certain extent. I can tap into MCPs, developer time is going to be like, and those resources are going to be lessened by the workflow and the tools that I've adopted here. Then my value as a designer in the team goes way up. It skyrockets because it's like, wow, you helped us to like accomplish our goals of getting something to market or pushing a change or whatever it is faster, more efficiently, and in tune with the brand or the product. So for me, it's like, I mean, you guys are kind of serving this awesome space in the middle where it's like designers should start leveraging Anima and tools like it, right? To use code, right? To use all these tools that we shouldn't be afraid of. But the real value is like, I'm a superstar in my organization if I can not deliver flat design files, but if I can make developers love me, like if I can make the engineering team want to buy me a beer because they're like, dude, you made my job so much easier. I'm like, let's go. That's what I want. That makes me incredibly valuable and all designers valuable.
Right. Yeah, which brings it to the discussion. It's a big thing. What so designers that are used to handle, like to deliver pixels, like you said, are now doing much more and can bring value in different ways to the org. Maybe before we jump into the future role of designers, maybe we talk a bit about new methodologies. I don't know if you have, Jesse, insight about how you and your firm uses vibe coding and new AI tools, and how the like flows have changed. I know Michal wanted to share, but Jesse, you wanna go?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, as far as like new methodologies and ways that we're leveraging AI and technology at my agency, the biggest thing for us is we want to leverage any sort of tool, process, system, or technology that reduces grunt work or labor, things that are task oriented and not high level strategy oriented. We want to try to like work ourselves out of that place of doing tasks. If you understand what I mean, like I don't, if it's something like update images across 150 different screens inside of this Figma file, I don't want to do it manually, and I don't want to ask one of my team members to do it manually. We need to leverage something to get us to the things that matter more. They're just more important, right? I think my friend Dan Mall said it best. I was interviewing him one time, and he said that all of these tools are, what they're basically doing is giving us as creatives the ability to promote ourselves away from executor, pixel pusher, task-oriented things to art director, creative director, high-level strategic thinking. So in my agency, it's anything that is making us less of a strategic partner with our clients and more of a pixel pusher, task doer. We want to try to automate and outsource to technology that can do it to a certain extent, right? Technology is going to continue to grow, accelerate. So in some instances, it just can't do it the right way. But I'll give you a couple of like concrete examples. Like we just don't wireframe. anymore. I'm just not going to do it, right? Because there's too many great systems, UI kits, tools out there like Reloom and so on and so forth that can help me to wireframe things really, really quickly. And then I can iterate upon that. But I'm not going to spend hours out of my day drawing gray boxes and putting lines through them to show you that there's an image that's supposed to go here. I'm either going to let somebody else, some other tool or some other thing do that. We got bigger fish to fry. We got better things to do with our time. Same thing with even scoping product roadmaps for teams and figuring out which features to prioritize first. We're going to help them write a comprehensive PRD, like a product requirement document, and then load that into AI tools like Claude or ChatGPT, summarize it, and then automate all of those tasks into roadmap flows into whatever the project management tool is, because that speeds that process up. But it also helps us, again, to showcase our value as strategic partners. So now I can help you think through, if you're my client, I can help you think through, all right, what are your revenue streams? Like where's like the friction happening in this product? How can we improve it before we even get to that like later state of, plan, design, test, and iterate? I can do a lot of that plan and test and all that stuff before I even get to full blown pixels. Anything that removes me out of that redundant task-based process is what I'm going to do. So we use it for writing, strategic stuff, wireframing, and then we just don't prototype anymore at all. We'll take any and all designs we have and move those into a vibe coding tool of some kind to give us a clickable prototype, because it feels better. It looks better. It interacts better. I can just send users a link, my clients a link and say, hey, here's the working prototype of the product. And they go, wow, like this is insane. Instead of load up a Figma prototype. I've never used, some clients haven't used Figma prototypes. I can only click here on this blue box. Hey, can you make this so that every link works? I'm going, yeah, that's going to be redundant. I'm going to have to make every single one and go back and maintain this prototype. I would rather offload that to something to speed that process.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Michal, tell us a bit about the methodologies here.
Here at Anima, yeah. So just like the Sana demo we just showed, so we have a prototype of our playground inside playground that looks almost like the same as the actual product. And every time that we have an idea, a new feature that we want to develop, then we start to vibe code on it and create like even several variation for a solution. And then we could actually feel like how it really behave and which direction we want to take.
That's even before going to design. That's a
product. I'm
team.
Talking about product. Yeah. Going to design, if we're end up to design, then in some cases it depends on the feature. Like we might go to the proper design process and go into Figma and craft it manually and like give more like attention to find the little details.
That's a huge I think that what's really interesting is I think I'm telling a lot of my clients that I'm working with, refinement will come, right? We'll work on refinement, right? Like the button's not the right shape. It was a pill instead of square. Like, it's blah, blah. All of those refinement and finesse, I like to call it massaging the product after we're done. All of that stuff can happen later. But right now we need to figure out how this all comes together. And you said there's this intangible quality to how a product feels when you're using it, not just how it looks from a screen perspective or an individual view or state, but how does it feel as that modal pops and then closes down and then the user continues to interact? Those are hard things to express, and they used to require cumbersome amounts of work to manifest, to visualize. So for me, there's this intangible quality of feel or taste that like this can actually fast forward that product. You got an idea? Hey, like let's add this new feature in. I'm going to grab a couple of things, Frankenstein it together. How does it feel? Does it feel like this has legs? Like this is going to actually work? Great. It does. Let's bring it back in finesse and then deliver again. So I feel like that, I've said it before already, but that traditional product design loop is changing so much.
Yeah.
It's a traditional product design process that I used to coach and mentor teams and enterprise level teams on for years. But like that's updated. It's different now. There's no more research, plan, wireframe, test, loop back around. It's like Frankenstein it, feel it out, approve it, massage it, and like refine it. Like that's the new way of working.
Yeah, that's a good framework.
Yeah, I agree totally. I think like more and more we actually end of the prototype, the code of the prototype to our engineers and not Figma design. And also like if our Figma design used to be our source of truth of all the flows in the product, then today we're trying to, even if it went through Figma, then to update again the prototype, and the prototype become our source of truth.
Kind of the documentation.
Yeah, it reflects best the product. But yeah, like
I think what's interesting now.
And everyone on the team can not only designers can send features to production and
right, absolutely. Like if a client or somebody on the product team or a client or somebody says, "Hey, I saw this feature on or platform or product. I think this is really cool. Would this fit? Would this work?" You go, "I don't know. Send me the link." I capture that input box, that AI interaction, whatever it is, drop it in. I can look at it, right, from a strategic standpoint as a creative director, as whoever I am as a product lead, look at it and go, I think this I might have to tweak and change it a little bit to fit our needs, send that back. And they're going, wow, like that's amazing, right? So
that's the value of designers.
Yeah. And there's something I think that's really important, which is, it's a large conversation about like this whole single source of truth, right? And that goes back to a previous comment I made. Like, I want to eliminate as many taxing things as possible, right? This is what building out variables inside of Figma and design tokens and design systems, and then what do we do with that? Okay, so well, now we can MCP server to like whatever our code base is, and we have connection. But now we can speak back and forth, right? So it's no longer does the code base have to be the single source of truth, or the design has to be a single source of truth. Because code can change the design, and design can change the code, and so therefore there now is a single source of truth, no matter which side of the project you're coming from. That to me is the biggest thing, because I don't want to have to update something here, document it, hand it off to my engineers, and then they're going to update it based off of what I send them. It's the context is there. It's just connected immediately. So there's so many parts of this process that are yes, making my job easier, but more importantly, allowing me to focus on the things that I really love to do. Like, I don't love updating variables. I don't love doing all that stuff. And the reason I don't love it is because it's tedious work that leads to more tedious work.
Yeah.
And so I like doing the things I like to do, that I'm good at doing, but have the most impact. And that's what all of these new processes and tools like Anima are helping me to do.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said before, and I'm quoting you from one of your talks 2 weeks ago. One of the challenges is that ideas are floating from all over the team. Here, the HR team is also pitching features with prototypes.
At least we love you. Keep pitching ideas.
Keep doing that. But there are now not 10 ideas a day. There are hundreds of ideas a week, and it's slippery slope. It's really easy. It's also really easy to develop these days. It's not that just design was accelerated. It's also that engineering now runs 10 to 100 times faster. It's really easy to add a lot of features to the product, but you don't want to add up with a product that has all the features in the world that everyone are excited about.
Yeah, like I talked about, it could be even a trap, because it's so easy to convey an idea, to pitch any idea that we have. And it looks amazing, it feels amazing, even though sometimes it's like the AI creates something that is more shallow than the actual functionality at the end. And I think as product people, we need to remember our core responsibility, drive value to our users, drive impact. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Impact to the business, and keep doing the discovery, talking with our users, doing the product job eventually, and be the gatekeeper of the product, because it's so easy to build, but
Yeah.
like,
And I think that's, I get back to it. Like, that's the more important work to do, right? Which I'm not going to quote it perfectly, but there's a line from Jeff Goldblum in the original Jurassic Park movie, right? Where he's talking about, your scientists, they stood on the shoulders of other people that did it, and then they just printed it. They just did it. But he says something really interesting in that scene. He says, your scientists were so interested in whether or not they could, they didn't stop to ask if they should. The should questions, especially for designers, like, again, that's the larger value that we bring. It's not, can you design it? Can we ship this feature? Can we make this happen? Because all of that's becoming easier. The larger thing, and why I'm less of a designer now and more of a strategic partner as an agency owner with my clients, is because I help them to ask the question, should you? Right? We can add all sorts of features. You want a Kanban board? Man, I can vibe code that in like 25 minutes. You want an AI chat feature? We can implement that and drag in and call in that functionality. But should you? Okay, so that's the bigger question. And so there might be hundreds and hundreds of ideas, but to me, that's the more important conversation and room to be in, is let's bring ideas in, because in the past, it was the execution of those. We had to talk about technical feasibility and timelines and resources. So much of that is starting to get easier. The entry point to execute those things is easier. So now I don't have to worry about how hard is it going to be to implement this feature. Probably fairly easy, unless it's some sort of insane new thing that the world's never seen. Probably fairly easy to implement it. The bigger question is, well, should we? Now I get to spend more of my valuable time surveying users, like running through and figuring out if it's the right thing. And that is where, and the reason I'm a big fan of like product and product design, the product world, is because I feel like it actually does help people. I have a million apps on my phone, but there's 5 or 10 that really actually help me during my day. And those 5 or 10 are the ones that take the time to ask the should questions. Should we implement this? It helps so much in my daily life. So, not to sound like to get too existential, like, and out there, but like, design actually can help people. It actually can save the world in some regard.
Yeah.
We save people time, we save people pain, we save people all sorts of things. But it all boils down to not what color is the button. Like, that doesn't freaking matter. It boils down to like, is this going to have a massive impact and bring value to people? So I just love that that's where we're at. It's this democratization of ideas now, because the technology is making it available.
Yeah, I agree. And like, one more thing, and like, it made me think of another thing. We said design is now running on steroids thanks to AI, and coding as well, but also research. Like, I saw you throwing into Opus like hundreds or thousands of data lines, and then also asking to do an online research. Like, you could also prove the motivation for a feature. Now you have hundreds of them, but you can also decide if should we bring it in or not, in a way faster way. So that's crazy times.
I was just, I'm habitually creating side projects. That's probably something I should stop doing at some point. I just can't help myself. I have shiny object syndrome, and that used to actually be a curse. But now what's really interesting is using a lot of, like you were talking specifically about research. I have an idea for a consumer app. I think this is going to be a super good idea. I start leveraging tools that, that have, plan mode inside of Cursor, and I'm using Claude and different tools. Is this a good idea? Like, what's the market look like for this? And I start researching, and it actually shut down my idea, but in a way that it morphed it into something else. And I went, oh, so this research that would have taken me months and would have been really difficult to capture all this data, actually completely shifted my thought process around this side project and this product that I'm going to launch before I spent any time on it whatsoever. And it's an even better idea than what I initially had. It made me think in different ways. The different ways thing is another thing I'm really excited about. I feel like AI allows us, it takes the burden of process thinking off of our shoulders, and it gives us this privilege, this space to breathe inside of the what if kind of space. That fun, like vision casting. What if I made an app that did this? What if we added this feature? What if we, so often it's like, we just don't have time for those big pie in the sky kind of dreams because we're too bound, or in the past, we've been bound and chained by this. Well, I can't, that would be too hard to even think about from the beginning. So now it just relieves all of that off of us. And I just feel like, again, back to Dan Mull's statement, all of us have the opportunity to become creative directors, strategic partners, like big pie in the sky thinkers, like never before. And so that's just something that I'm a huge fan of.
Amazing. Yeah, very inspiring. And maybe that leads us to the last topic I wanted to discuss. What is the role of designer in 2026? Like we have superpowers now. We can do more. Jesse, you said we could become a better business partner. What is the role of designers in 2026? How does it look like?
Man, I think, I think specifically all designers are going to have to get on board, especially, digital product designers, web designers. We're going to have to get on board with leveraging these tools and kind of embracing what it is to be not just a designer, but a design engineer, right? Somebody who doesn't create flat designs and just pass it off and hope for the best, but people who can actually leverage the technology and the tools to actually prove and showcase what's in our mind and what we can build. Doing that, in my opinion, the future of designers in 2026 and beyond, it leans way more into those strategic partners, because what designers are really good at, what we're trained at, and for years we've used the medium of color and typography and layout to do this, but what we're really good at is solving problems. Like, we're trained, our brains are honed to find problems and try to figure out how to solve them. And that's not the case for everybody, right? So like that, not everybody looks at those kind of issues and sees problems and thinks, okay, solution, I need solutions. I'm going to look at how other people are solving. How might we solve this? What would my users want? And how would they want me to solve it? Not everybody thinks that way, but because we're innately wired that way, I feel like we have the ability to have maximum input and value when we're thinking about solving problems. So I think all designers need to train in these tools, leverage these tools. And it reminds me of the old American folktale. I don't know if you know the story of John Henry, the man who, built railroad tracks faster than anybody else, and the steam engine was invented. Okay, so that's the old American folktale. John Henry could laid railroad track faster than any man alive, and then the steam engine's invented, and he challenges the steam engine to a duel, prove that he could build track faster. The fake folktale goes that he tried so hard, worked all day, all night, ended up dying from exhaustion, and the steam engine wins. And my mind always thinks, what could have John Henry accomplished had he adopted the steam engine and leveraged it, right? What could he have done? Unthinkable things, right? It actually would have pushed past even the industry of the railroad and gotten us quicker into airplanes and automobile. It would have pushed the vision forward had he been willing to adopt. So I think we have to adapt, we have to learn, we have to grow in these tools, and we have to establish workflows that are built off of our companies or our organization or our team's needs. So back to that problem solving thing, I think designers need to start thinking about the handoff delivery, process of actually getting something approved and built and executed on. And we, as the problem solvers, can start to dial in and go, I think actually using something like Anima might fast forward this process and be the person who is the early adopter of these tools into their team to help their team realize, because teams are often too busy doing what they know how to do best, right? Engineers are too busy engineering, right? Managers are too busy managing, right? They don't have the time to maybe do the research and find the tools, the workflows, and the processes that could accelerate the team's abilities and values. So I think part of our role is going to have to be early adopters and champions of these workflows and processes. So that's definitely on the roadmap for all designers in 2026.
Amazing. All right. Anything to add? I think we're on time. I think we can.
Let's see if we have any questions there.
I saw nice feedback on the MCP. Daniel got to try it already. Yeah, I guess he tried the Figma to code. We also have Figma to code in the MCP. We've been doing that for 7 years. I guess it has a good experience. Yeah.
We will share the video after, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, we have one question about could I design in Anima and then send it back to Figma? So yes, this is also coming. You could ideate in Figma, in Anima. You could bring it to Figma to tweak it. You could bring it back to Anima if you want. That's possible.
We got a lot of requests for these features.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think that's it. That's a wrap.
Huge. Amazing.
Thank you so much, Jesse, for joining us today, and thanks everyone for watching. Bye. Have a good one.
Thank you very much.
Bye, everybody. Take care.
Good one. Bye.